Just over 1 year ago, AIM and US OTC-listed Poolbeg Pharma was spun out of fast-growing vaccine and antiviral testing group Open Orphan, and is now pioneering the most advanced scientific practices in researching and developing treatments for infectious diseases. The group have come a long way since the float last year, and I'm joined once again by Chief Executive Jeremy Skillington to tell us all about it. Hello again, Jeremy. How are you doing?
Good, Alan. Very well.
Excellent. Well, it's certainly been an eventful year since the Poolbeg Pharma IPO. Can you tell us more about your first year as a listed company?
Yes, happy to do that. It's been a very busy year, almost a blur. Hard to believe it's a year has gone past. We've been exceedingly busy. I think what gives me most pleasure and pride is that at IPO, we had some stated goals, stated objectives, and we've achieved all of those. And that's essentially, moving forward the assets we had at IPO, in particular POLB 001, which we can speak to later on, but also building out our assets, other portfolio assets of, now we have 002, which is a program for respiratory viral infections, and 003, a vaccine for melioidosis, as well as building out other platforms, oral vaccine delivery and artificial intelligence collaborations, all of which we said we'd do at IPO, and we've achieved that. So 12 months later, we've checked a lot of boxes, acknowledging that, while we've been successful in achieving these goals, there's still a long way to go. So we're looking at other deals to bring in. And of course, we're very much focused on infectious diseases. And given the pandemic that's occurred, that's still around us, many would say, there's a lot of focus on infectious diseases, and Poolbeg is in a great position to be there and move our programs forward for partnering.
Well, you touched on it just now, but your flagship asset, POLB 001, reached a major milestone last week with news that you've commenced a human challenge trial. Can you talk us through this?
Yeah, happy to do that. Again, stated at IPO that we'd move 001 into the clinic in the summer of 2022. So here we are. So we've gotten approval from the Dutch regulatory authorities to run this clinical trial. And, a lot of work has been put in by the terrific Poolbeg team to get us to this point. But it's an important milestone, not only, as I say, to move forward in this kind of rapid capital-light manner that we said we would do at IPO, but I think it's important from an infectious disease standpoint, from a severe influenza standpoint. So I think importantly about 001, this is tackling the immune response, the inflammatory response. What happens, you get a virus infection, the immune system kicks in, and in most people clears that virus. But in a subset, it actually it turns it the wrong way, the opposite way, where the immune system is overactive, causing severe influenza. You have that cytokine storm. And 001 is a drug, is a molecule that will block that cytokine storm. So we're happy to get approval to move this into the clinic in this LPS challenge study, where again, it's using a bacterial fragment that drives the inflammatory response. So we want to generate that proof of concept from this clinical trial, and we should have data by the end of the year to demonstrate that. And we're quite confident. As I say, we've done a lot of the preclinical work to decrease the risk of such a trial. And it's a very important drug. I said there's nothing else out there for severe influenza, and this is kind of a shelf-stable oral drug. So there's been a lot of discussions around, pandemic preparedness, for future pandemics, and certainly influenza is at risk to be one of those. So we feel we're in a good place to get, quality data from this trial and then move the program forward. But ultimately, it's up to pharmas to bring this forward. As I say, in line with the Poolbeg strategy, we'll do the early de-risking, the early proof of concept clinical trials, and then pharma will move that forward. So we're building a very robust, very exciting, attractive data package for pharma to partner with us and move it forward. And that's essentially how Poolbeg will generate our revenues, from partnering with pharmas. But yes, I mean, the trial is very well designed. It's randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, your standard clinical trials, where the quality of data that comes out will be attractive then from a pharma partnering standpoint. So again, the data will be very quick. As I say, we're fortunate, I guess, in one sense, to be in infectious diseases, because these are relatively short and powerful clinical trials where you'll get quality data very quickly, and I say at a capital light manner as well. So all on track. We're happy to say that, as I say, looking forward to seeing the data readout by the end of the year, because that'll be another exciting moment for Poolbeg, and ultimately then partnering 2023 with pharma to bring it forward, not just in severe influenza, but potentially in broader disease indications as well.
Excellent. Well, artificial intelligence is a hot area right now, and you're currently involved in 2 AI collaborations. You've got a US AI partner, 13 Biotech, who's making good progress advancing an AI model to identify RSV drug targets and treatments for RSV. Plus, you've got Israeli-based CytoReason, which is focusing on influenza. Can you give us an overview on these pioneering approaches to identify new treatments for infectious diseases?
Absolutely. I mean, AI is such a hot space right now. A lot of big pharma companies are moving into that space to, number one, shorten the timeline to getting drugs through the clinic and on the market. And then number two, decrease the risk. There's a lot of failures that pharma has experienced before. So you're looking at AI to kind of narrow that, to kind of improve your chances of success. But we were fortunate to get, as part of the demerger from Open Orphan, that we've got access to a very unique data set from the viral challenge studies that Open Orphan and hVIVO had ran before. So that's essentially taking a healthy volunteer, giving them a virus, whether it's flu or RSV in our cases, and then they become sick and then they recover. So we have data from lots of different time points along that progression of healthy to sick to recovered. A very unique data set. And now we have the capabilities through our partnerships with 13 and CytoReason to interrogate that data and understand what's going on from an immune system standpoint, how the immune system responds or reacts to the presence of a virus. And what we have, just as a simple example, you have some healthy volunteers who don't get sick at all. So you'd like to tease out, why is that? What have they got in their makeup that prevents them from getting sick versus other people who get sick quite rapidly. So if you kind of compare both responses, you might be able to pull out new targets, new drug targets, understanding of the biology of your response to the virus. So we're going to, as they use collaborations with 13 and CytoReason to tease that out. And then in a little bit more granularity, 13 based in New York, spun out of Cornell Wheel University. They're focused on the RSV data we have. The RSV data set goes back again to clinical trials. These respiratory syncytial viruses, quite common, quite dangerous actually for the under 5s and the elderly. But they've actually built step one. They've built their platform, their algorithm, let's say, to begin interrogating that data. So we had a terrific call with our scientific team last week. So they're happy with the progress they're making, ready to dive in and identify, say, new drug targets and ultimately new drugs. And similarly with CytoReason based in Israel, they're focused on our flu data. And again, flu is again a disease of grave concern. There's great concern after the COVID-19 pandemic that flu will be on the resurgence. We have a very, let's call it again, a naive population who haven't been exposed to flu for many years. So there's concerns that there'll be a further potential pandemic with flu as it comes roaring back. And I think numbers out of Australia suggests that the numbers are going to be quite significant this winter. So again, they're looking at the data set that we have and interrogating and understanding the biological pathways, how they kind of cross-communicate, how we respond well to the virus, and if we can improve that from a drug therapy standpoint. So very exciting, and again, cutting edge. This data is unique, but this technology wasn't here 5 years ago. So we're fortunate to be in that time frame right now where the technology has caught up and we can interrogate this very exciting data set.
Excellent. So as you've already outlined, there's plenty to look forward to this year anyway, and certainly at the end of the year. What else should investors expect for the remainder of 2022?
Yeah, I mean, I've touched upon some of these. I mean, the readout from POLB 001 clinical trial, we should have that by the end of the year. And again, positive data will progress us forward, leap us forward into partnering discussions with pharma. And again, as I mentioned, that'll generate our kind of revenue income. I mean, importantly, we are a capital light model. We have a long runway when it comes to the from the cash balance that we have. We can take this forward long into the future, which is great. But again, topping that up, let's say, with the partnerships that are planned. And again, I kind of mentioned around the end of the AI deal, the data coming out of that. I mean, that'll be very important as well. Again, cutting edge. I think there'll be a lot of interest from pharma alone looking at that data set and what's coming out, because again, we're quite fortunate to have this unique data set that they don't have. So I think there's a lot going on at Poolbeg, obviously moving our 002, 003 programs forward as well. And I think, importantly, linking back to the capital light model, we're looking forward to, we've applied for some non-dilutive grant funding to kind of supplement, our cash position to move forward some programs, oral vaccine delivery in particular, and we're kind of awaiting outcomes of those. So we're as I say, we've gained a lot of momentum in the last 12 months. We've again a terrific team moving everything forward. So excited about excited about what we've accomplished in the last 12 months, but certainly excited about what the future holds in the next 12 and 24 months. And as I said, there's a lot going on here, a lot of positive discussions. I think we've managed not just our cash burn well, but our development plans well as well. So again, a very exciting future for Poolbeg, and being in infectious diseases, I think the world is looking at our way to help supplement pharma's pipelines through partnering deals. So we'll be ready and eager to do those partnership deals at the appropriate time, and of course at the appropriate valuations.
Of course, exciting times indeed for Poolbeg and its shareholders. Jeremy Skillington, Chief Executive of Poolbeg Pharma, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Alan. Thank you.